Hello and welcome to another Mr. Beast Bite video, and this video is a little bit different insofar as we're looking at a C20, and this one has been sent to me as a no-hoper. I've actually bought this and it's basically no hope. It's really not a good machine apparently, but looking at it, it's probably not that bad actually. Looking at the deck, it looks really clean. But we'll do that and assess it, pair it up, have a look at it, see if we can get it going. I do have spares as well, albeit second-hand ones. So hopefully we can get it going. So without further ado, let's crack on. So it is a bit of an odd one, this one. It's obviously from a commercial or educational setting. The reason I say that is because it has pack testing stickers on it. Looks pretty tidy, albeit rather bashed about. Stickers and all sorts all over it. It's missing its screws. Yeah, there's a pack testing sticker dated 6th of January 1999. So it gives a bit of an idea of when it was used up to, or at least available as a usable unit. And looking at it, it's actually really very tidy. It's had quite a bit of use, so maybe the heads aren't that good, but we'll see. The upper drum is quite shiny, but the rest of it looks really clean and nice. Pinch roller's missing, which I was told about when I bought it, so that's cool. But I have a few half decent ones that we can pop on, and it's not terribly dusty. It's a fairly nice machine inside. It's got this wonderful, I do love these. I know I go on about them, but it does such a very very nice movement on these tuning screwdrivers. So yeah, I suppose next thing is really to put a plug on it with a suitably equipped fuse, and we'll see what it's like. So that actually took longer than expected, mainly because somebody has been nicking all the 3-amp fuses out of the new 3-amp fused plugs that I have. I don't know who that could have been and why that would happen, but anyway, I found one, put it on, bob's your ankle. So let's power it up and see what happens. Okay, so power's on, that's a good start. So let's get the blank cassette, grease, and see what happens. So obviously we've got no pinch roller, but it doesn't actually matter for a... Ooh. Okay, so we've got some noise coming from the motor for the reels. That's okay. You can probably do something with that. There's obviously a bit of wear there. So it's obviously a fairly well used machine. So capstan feels okay. And obviously there's right, so we've got no take up, so that's interesting. It actually feels a bit grindy. So I wonder if we might have a bad idler on this. So, okay, well, we'll take a look at that. I have to dig out a pinch roller as well. And yeah, that's fairly positive. Front loading seems good as well, which is good. This seems a pretty tidy machine, really, internally. So yeah, super. So let's crack on. A few screws missing, but that's all good, and I was aware probably there would be. So let's whip the bottom off. So let's have a look. Move it out of the way. So first thing I did notice, they have been repaired. So that's something. The rear sockets were sort of in a strange, sort of pointing up. So obviously been some damage there at some point, but they have been repaired. The audio sockets haven't been. And I don't know, does that look like a bad joint there? It sounds like it. So yeah, so they'll be repaired as well. Let's get this board out. Screws already out. And there we have it. So bottom of the reel table. Let's undo the screws. So there's 4 black screws. Super. And we should note that bit there to be able to just lift this off. And a bit of a wiggle of the back tension on. And there we are. Oh! It's left the idler behind. Oh, I suppose we knew that. But yes, I'd sort of forgotten. So, the bearing's obviously bad on the motor. It's becoming quite common, well, it is a common problem with these. I mean, it's been a common problem with these machines for a couple of decades now, if not more. Depending on how heavily they were used, but the bearing wears out, and it causes the assembly just to drop slightly, and it starts grazing the coils. So yes, I suppose we better take the reels off and have a look. So first thing is to remove the back tension, which actually came off fairly easily, worryingly. Oh, there's actually a tab broken off there, so might have to see if I can replace that possibly. To be fair, it'll probably be okay with just the one tab, but it does. It's not as securely fitted as probably it should be. Then here, you see this has all been got at before previously, which is fine. So we've got this here, and let's remove the little clip. So that's, if I can get it, that is a smaller version of the type of clip used on the pinch roller, amongst other things. So lift the brake off, and with it, little post. So it's quite a clever design, that makes it very easy to remove. Quite clever. It is a Sony. And the other reel. And then let's have a look at this motor. I'm actually debating whether I do actually even have one of these spare. And you can see where it's been just lightly grazing. I have to say it doesn't actually look that worn. It obviously is, because it's... Well, I think we're going to get away with putting a washer in there. Some of these are so badly worn, or they wear in such a way that you can't really do it. You can't get away with it. Yeah, let's see what I have. Okay, so I have the potential washer. Let's pop that on. Let's see if it's any better. Yeah, well, still rubs. The problem is that if you go too far, or you have to go too far before it stops rubbing, you actually start losing the efficiency of the motor, and then you get all sorts of problems from that. Put another one in. But this is looking very much like it's not going to repair very well. So I wonder where it is actually catching. I don't know. I think what I'm going to do is take this motor off and actually have a proper look at those bearings. See the washer's on there. Connect it off first. Then screw there. These screws non-magnetic, so they just drop. Because all my screwdrivers are magnetic. I'll just retrieve that screw. And the base of the motor comes off. Just drop the clip, that's fine. So let's have a look. Well, there's not any play in this. It's almost like this is warped. There's a little bit of movement on the sort of lateral movement on the actual flywheel. So looking at that, oh gosh, it's even worse taking it off when you take the motor off. So let's put the motor back on, if only by a couple of screws, and just see what it's like. Right, so put these 3 screws in, and there, it's that side. I wonder if I've got another one of these. Is it? Well, if I've got another one of these, I can check, can't I? I can check the bearing. But, I don't know. It's definitely not running true. My low. So it goes low here. I've had a dig around and I've found 2 scrap units. This one, I've taken a label off now because it was across there. I needed to test it. This one actually had has seems to have a bad bearing as well, and putting this on sort of proves that. But this one, and this one's actually from the machine, the C30 I did in a previous video with smashed back tension guide, and this one is actually fine. So I'm tempted to clean this up and replace the broken bits. I can replace the arm from this one because this has a good back tension clip. Back tension band is pretty good on this, so that should be fine, but I can test for back tension anyway. It's not really a problem. And yeah, I'll swap the spools, why not? And yeah, so let's crack on and do that. So let's get this off first. This is a bit of a fiddle. See why it can get broken. It's going to need a good clean-up as well. By the looks of it, let's get this idler off first. And I'll find washer there as well. Not all of them have that. Probably been lost when they've been serviced. Let's get that off and turn this over, take this clip off. Try not to stretch the spring. Comes off. So I'm going to take this off. I'm going to put this on and just see if it is this that's causing the problem. No, it's not. There we go, that proves it. So it's it is a bad bearing. I really hoped it wasn't. Yes, so next thing is to give this a good clean. Okay, so I've given it a fairly good clean. It's not perfect. There's a little bit of corrosion there. So what I'm going to do now is transfer all of these bits over to this. It's going to do the lot, to be fair, because it's easy enough to do. And another clip here, get that off. Again, it's the usual Sony clip. There we go, there's a bit stubborn to come off. Spring. Trying to stretch it because it might come in useful. And the other one, let's give that a quick brush off. Was quite a mucky deck this came from, so not in a bad way. It was just lots of tape residue and other bits and bobs. And then get this off. Shame, because this is actually a really nice looking deck, nice and clean and tidy, but because the bearing is molded, you have no choice if you're going to do this other than yes, it is. Oh, I see. Oh, so some decks are modified with a different back tension guide. So that's worth knowing. I didn't know that. So there's a little spacer that goes on the assembly there. Wow, you learn something new every day. Let's put that on. And take this off, transfer the lot. I know I didn't really have to do the whole lot, but it just makes sense really while I'm there, isn't it? I mean, I have good parts, so why not? Let's get that clean while I'm in there. Let's get the worst of the dust off. Spring. Oops. So that's in. A little bit of a jiggle. So obviously it's actually slightly stretched, but it's fine. So I'll have to just look at the tension there. This needs to be cleaned. It's a bit gummy. So let's move that out of the way. So my thought now is I'm going to basically transfer all of the switches, like these switches. Solenoid can stay. I can transfer that. But basically everything else will be transferred from the old reel table assembly to the new one. So I put the bearings on for the reels. They've also been gently lubricated with silicone grease. The back tension guide, what I've done with that is I ended up actually transferring it from the original deck, because the spring tension is already set and it's actually varnished there. So I just thought, well, I've got the best chance of getting this right if I transfer that over and keep that setting. Obviously this setting is wrong, but looking at the other deck, it's actually right the way up there. So we'll do that. And that'll be somewhere near. That's fine, but we'll check it. And let's put this on here. So there's a broken one of those. And we now need the spools. So the spools are actually really good. Nice and clean and tidy from the original deck. So let's put that on. Perfect. That's the old one. That's the good, tidy one. Washer in there. I'll just check actually that I didn't leave a washer in here. Yes, I did. Let's get that washer out, because the washer I have is actually good and has lubrication on it. It doesn't really matter, but I know it's good. I know I've cleaned it and it's spot on. One thing I'm forgetting, of course, in my haste, is to put the top of the motor back on. So let's put that back on. Make sure there's no spacing There's a spacing washer in that one, so that's the old one. So let's put this one back on. This is the one original to this deck. This reel assembly. And pop that on. Put that there. And so that's that. Excellent. And that goes back on there. Let's pull this back. Lovely. Then we've got the brake assembly, which that goes in there. And then you get the little wire. Push that in. And then push them both down together. So you're not straining the spring. And somewhere I've got a little micro clip. Micro Sony clip. There we go. That's on. A bit of broken plastic there. Some bearings. And put those to one side. So all good. We've got the pendulum. Now this has a new pendulum idler. So I'm going to use that. That's great. It's actually really nice to have that. So put that on. Lovely. A little fibre washer. And then the clip on the top. His hair just crept in there. So let's get these off in readiness. Because the ones on the other deck are much better. So yeah, certainly a good plan to recycle those rather than use these. Don't have to be too careful because ultimately these won't be used again. Unlace there, unlace from there. Now I'm still going to have to route some cables because, like the solenoid, for example, I don't want to disturb that. That is actually a calibrated part. I do have a cable tie here, and I do have the sensor there as well. So I'm not going to disturb that. I'll just transfer that over. It isn't actually that bad to do. Bit of a faff getting to the boards, but it's fine. So switches are off, and yes, where's my clippers? Let's unclip that. Remember to try and put that back. Let's see if I can remember. Invariably, I forget. So I will keep those switches because they will clean up if I'm desperate, but I'd rather use the better switches. So yeah, it's all good. I mean, in theory, should have done this before I put the reels in. The reason I'm not terribly happy about doing this is it's come off. it is stressing the plastic. I mean, you can see the plastic's gone white there from doing that. So, not ideal. But we'll do it. We'll change it. It's fine. It's cool. So, I suppose it's time to transfer everything over. So I have actually managed to remove pretty much everything from the other deck without having to unplug it on the other side. Now I did, and please don't hate me for doing this, I did cut the wires to the solenoid. Like I say, they are calibrated, and I don't want to be messing about with that if I can help it. So I've cut the wires, but of course ultimately, I mean, if I ever need to use that solenoid on another deck, then I can splice and I can sort something out, and I will keep it. I'm not getting rid of it. So yeah, so the sensor here, which actually goes like so, this actually just flicks out. You just put a blade of a screwdriver under here and it will just lift out. So that's actually really easy, and actually very nice. So I'll put that in. Hopefully that will slide in. There we go, and it just clips in. So that's the first one done. Put it in the cable management. Then we have well, we have the second one, don't we? So let's do that. So that goes in here. And the main reason I've done this is just because they're so clean on the original deck. It just makes sense to use them, really. Plus it does mean I don't have to pull the machine about so much with everything apart, which we do try and avoid as much as possible. So that comes up here. This is this. So cassette down. And it's well thought out. I mean, the design is good. Where am I going with that? So that has to go, so 2 bits there, okay, there, clips in, whoops. And then that goes this side into the cable management there, which is a faff to get the cable out, I have to say. Have I possibly got a bit carried away? No. Then into here. Then there's cable management under here. Hopefully you can see that. Probably not. Here. And there. And that's it. That's done. That's good. Then we've got the other one. Same thing with that. So no, that's the wrong way around actually. It used to go like so. And the cabling, I've done this very well. Draining the cables more than I want to. The cables go in here, here, and then just pull that tight. And we do have this. Solenoid. So need to make sure that is routed correctly. Again, going through cable management. So you want to make sure that it's this side of this little bit of plastic here, just so it doesn't foul the actual solenoid itself. And that goes for both cables. It's there for a reason. And then we're ready to connect that up. Oh, Mr. Cable. Like so. And I did actually forget to give these a clean, so I might just do that. Just a bit of deoxit just to make sure they're good and clean. So yeah, that's all good. We're good to go. So you can see there the motor runs clean, not fouling anything. It's turning the spool. So we're all good, hopefully. Hopefully. Famous last words. So yeah, let's crack on, get this connector connected, and take it from there. So we've replaced the cable tie, and that's all good. But we do have other issues, and I've covered this in other videos actually. You can see here, this screw assembly is completely and utterly broken off. That is just had it. And the rest seem pretty okay. You can see, where are we? There is some broken plastic. Yeah, there. So you can see that's on the way out. So for what it's worth, I'll put some glue around the base of this, but this needs to be glued, so I'll glue that now, and then we'll come back to it tomorrow and start reassembling and feed this cable through, and hopefully we'll have somewhere near a working machine. The other thing we need to do, of course, is clean off all this rubbish off the wall effect. So yeah, that's a definite must do. So routed the solenoid connector in to the SS16 board, so that's all good to go, and now to put it all back together and see if it works. Time to put the real table assembly back in. It's had a bit of a clean up. The switches have been deoxited, and hopefully should be good. Everything's been lubricated, tiny bits of lubricant on the bearings underneath here, which you saw. Motor is not fouling, which is good. This is a brand new idler, which is great. I mean, where that came from, that's really superb. And I have actually very slightly lubricated the solenoid as well, just because it looks as if it has been sort of slightly catching, so sometime in its life. The superglue is dry on the parts of the assembly that were bad, so that's good. So get this back in. And just being careful of the back tension guide. Make sure that goes through the hole cleanly. And then you want to just rock this just so it sits flush. Why do I think there should be some sort of cable management for that? If I missed something, probably have. Yeah, it's it needs to sit perfectly flat. You can see my replacement cable tie there. So let's get this back together. So black self-tappers. So the 4 screws back in, and obviously taking great care to make sure that's located correctly. And just want to give that a quick wipe before we put this down. Now there was a screw missing, so I need to just, well, to be fair, I'll just use a case screw. I know they are different case screws to the actual internal screws, but I have quite a few of both types, so it's all good. Just mainly making sure that all the screws are back in. There's the bearing, the bearing that I lost. So yeah, so there's the bearing. It's just fallen out. That's the bearing I lost when I turned the deck over. So I'll put that in the bag of spares. So I suppose the next thing now is to test it. So first of all, let's try a blank set. Well, that's not a good start, is it? So there we go. And so we now have real movement. So that's good. It is taking up, and still doesn't seem that strong. Yeah. So jet take-up seems good. This tape doesn't really matter. So it's also very, very worn. So that seems to be fine. I can hear that tape is not good, but yeah, it's playing, so that's great. Oh gosh, that tape is not good. So let's get that out of there. That's perfect. So yeah, that was actually quite interesting because the tape I was using, which I thought was good, was actually really terrible. So I've put my trusty Brit Awards tape, the one I always seem to use. It's getting a little bit worn now, but so that's the bottom of the tracking range. You can see just a little bit of noise at the bottom there, and then top of the tracking range, and it's fine. Just a little bit of cap lock issues there, where it's just like not quite locking in. But yeah, that's great. So this machine is pretty much done as far as this video is concerned anyway. I mean, what I'll do now is I'll change caps in the power supply. So small caps that always tend to give trouble with cold starts, with herringbone issues on the display. Then, because it's C20, it's non-remote, I'll change all of the switches for the tape transports because they're always worn. Give the display a clean so it's nice and bright, dust it out, reinforce those audio sockets at the back, and this will be a lovely machine. It's really good. I will also brighten up it's resurface the upper drum, and I will be doing a video on resurfacing these drums. It's something certainly worth doing, and it does really make a huge difference. But I'll show you my secret in another video. So with that, thank you very much for watching. Please like and subscribe. It really means a lot to me. And see you in another video. Bye for now.